6 months after the Kepler massacre, General Lisa Hayes stood in the war room deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, dozens of screens showed the locations of human colonies and the approaching Zephyrian fleet. The aliens had kept their promise. They were coming to destroy everything humanity had built among the stars. "Report," she ordered. Colonel Rick Santos pointed to the largest screen. "Zephyrian forces have been detected in all 3 colonial systems. 200 ships at New Denver, 150 at Aurora Station, and another 100 moving toward Port Liberty." Lisa felt sick. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of only 96 ships, and most of them were cargo vessels converted for military use. Against 500 alien warships, humanity had no chance. What about our defenses? At the colonies? Each colony has about 20 ships and basic defensive platforms. The colonists are evacuating to underground shelters, but... Rick's voice trailed off. "But the shelters won't protect them from orbital bombardment," Lisa finished. "How long before the attacks begin?" "Intelligence suggests they'll hit all 3 colonies at the same time, probably within the next 12 hours. Dr. Amy Rodriguez entered the war room carrying a thick folder of papers. She had survived the destruction of the Meridian and spent the last 6 months studying every piece of information they had about the Zephyrians. "General Hayes, I have the analysis you requested," Amy said. "Tell me we found a weakness." Amy shook her head. "Their technology is at least 50 years ahead of ours. Their energy shields can stop our most powerful nuclear weapons. Their plasma cannons can cut through our best armor like it's made of cloth. There has to be something. There is one thing. They're arrogant. They don't believe any species can threaten them." Captain Morrison's report mentioned that Admiral Vexitar seemed genuinely surprised when we didn't immediately surrender. General Hayes studied the tactical displays. "Arrogance won't help us when they start shooting." The first attack came exactly 12 hours later. Admiral Marcus Cole commanded the defense of New Denver from his flagship, the Liberty Bell. His 20 ships were arranged in a defensive formation around the colony when the Zephyrian fleet arrived. 200 contacts, reported his tactical officer. "They're not even trying to hide their approach." Marcus watched the alien ships move into attack formation. Each one was larger than his flagship, and their weapons were already charging. "All ships, open fire," he commanded. The human fleet launched everything they had. Nuclear missiles, railgun rounds, and laser bursts filled the space between the 2 fleets. For a moment, Marcus hoped their surprise attack might work. Then the Zephyrian shields absorbed every shot without taking any damage. "Sir, our weapons aren't even scratching them," his weapons officer reported. The alien response was devastating. Bright blue energy beams reached across space and struck the human ships. The first vessel to be hit simply exploded. The second lost its entire front section. The third began spinning out of control as its engines died. "Evasive maneuvers," Marcus ordered, but it was too late. Within 10 minutes, 19 of his 20 ships were either destroyed or disabled. The Liberty Bell was the only vessel still fighting, and it was badly damaged. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the colony," his communications officer said. "Put it through." The voice of New Denver's governor filled the bridge. "Admiral Cole, they're bombing the surface. The civilian shelters are collapsing. You have to stop them." Marcus looked at his tactical display. His ship was outnumbered 200 to 1 and had no weapons left that could penetrate alien shields. "I'm sorry," he said into the microphone. "There's nothing I can do." He ordered his ship to retreat, carrying news of the defeat back to Earth. Behind him, New Denver burned as energy beams struck the surface again and again. The same scene played out at Aurora Station and Port Liberty. Human defenders fought bravely but could do nothing against superior alien technology. Within 3 days, all 3 colonies were destroyed. 8 million humans were dead or missing. The surviving human fleet regrouped at Earth, but everyone knew it was pointless. If the aliens could destroy well-defended colonies so easily, Earth would fall just as quickly. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in her laboratory beneath the Colorado mountains, trying to ignore the constant news reports about the colonial disasters. She was a quantum physicist, not a military expert, but General Hayes had asked all scientists to find some way to fight the aliens. Elena stared at her equations and felt hopeless. The Zephyrians had mastered energy manipulation and defensive, technology that humanity barely understood. Their plasma weapons could destroy anything humans built. Their shields could stop anything humans could shoot at them. There has to be another way, she muttered to herself. Her assistant, Dr. Kevin Barnes, looked up from his computer. What if we're thinking about this wrong? What do you mean? We're trying to match their energy weapons and penetrate their energy shields. But what if we don't fight energy with energy? Elena frowned. I don't follow. Kevin pulled up a holographic display showing the basic structure of matter. Look at this. Everything in the universe is made of atoms held together by electromagnetic forces. The aliens' shields work by deflecting electromagnetic energy. But what if we could affect matter at a more fundamental level? You mean quantum manipulation? Exactly. What if we could shift matter out of normal space-time? Make it exist somewhere else entirely? Elena studied the equations Kevin was showing her. That's theoretical physics. We've never built anything that could actually do that. We've never needed to before. Elena began working through the mathematics. Quantum mechanics suggested that matter could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. If they could build a device that forced matter to choose a different dimensional state, it would disappear from our reality completely, she whispered. No explosion, no energy release. It would just stop existing in our universe. Elena felt excitement building in her chest. Kevin, this could work. We wouldn't need to penetrate their shields or match their weapons. We could make their ships stop existing. They worked for 18 hours straight, building mathematical models and testing theoretical frameworks. By dawn, they had a basic design for what Elena called a quantum disruption matrix. It's completely untested, Elena told General Hayes when she presented her findings. We don't know if it will work, and we don't know what the side effects might be. How long would it take to build a prototype? 6 months, maybe 8. And that's assuming we can solve about a dozen engineering problems that have never been solved before. General Hayes looked at the tactical reports covering her desk. Doctor, our intelligence suggests the Zephyrians are building up for a final assault on Earth. We have maybe 4 months before they attack. Then we'll have to work faster. What do you need? Elena smiled grimly. Everything. Every physicist on Earth, unlimited funding, and a miracle. General Hayes began making phone calls immediately. Within a week, the world's greatest scientists were working together in hidden facilities across the globe. The project was given unlimited resources and the highest priority classification. Meanwhile, Admiral Marcus Cole took command of Earth's remaining fleet. His ships couldn't win a direct battle against the Zephyrians, but they could buy time. He organized hit-and-run attacks against alien scout ships and supply convoys. His most successful mission came when he captured a damaged Zephyrian patrol craft near Jupiter. The alien crew was killed in the fighting, but their computer systems contained valuable intelligence about Imperial fleet movements and tactical procedures. They fight the same way every time, Marcus reported to General Hayes after studying the data. Same formations, same attack patterns. They've used these tactics to conquer dozens of worlds, and no one has ever forced them to adapt, because no one has ever fought back effectively. Exactly. They expect every species to either surrender immediately or fight with primitive weapons. That can't hurt them. They've never faced an enemy that could actually threaten their ships. Amy Rodriguez joined their planning sessions, bringing her expertise about Zephyrian psychology. They see themselves as naturally superior to all other life forms. The idea that a primitive species like humanity could develop technology they don't understand would be shocking to them. Good, said General Hayes. Let's shock them. As the months passed, reports arrived of Zephyrian fleets gathering at staging areas throughout nearby space. The aliens were preparing for their final assault on humanity's home world. In her laboratory, Elena Vasquez worked desperately to solve the last technical problems with the quantum disruption matrix. The mathematics worked perfectly, but building a device that could actually manipulate quantum fields in real-world conditions was proving almost impossible. "We need more power," she told her team during one late-night session. "The energy requirements are beyond anything we've ever built." Engineer Tony Chen suggested connecting the device directly to a ship's main reactor. "If we modify the entire power grid of a destroyer, we might be able to generate enough energy for a single shot." "A single shot," Elena repeated. "We'd better make it count." The first prototype was installed aboard the destroyer Defiance under Admiral Cole's direct supervision. The ship's crew knew they would be testing a weapon that might destroy them along with their target, but they volunteered anyway. Humanity's Dr. Elena Vasquez had not slept for 3 days. Her eyes burned as she stared at the quantum field equations covering every wall of her laboratory. The quantum disruption matrix was almost complete, but almost was not good enough. In 2 weeks, the Zephyrian assault fleet would reach Earth. "The power coupling is still unstable," reported engineer Tony Chen from beneath the prototype device. "Every time we run a test, the energy feedback threatens to overload the entire system." Elena rubbed her temples. "What if we reverse the polarity on the tertiary stabilizers?" "We tried that yesterday. The quantum field collapsed completely." Dr. Grace Williams looked up from her computer terminal. As the team's artificial intelligence specialist, she had been working on the targeting systems. "I think I found something. The AI guidance system keeps trying to lock onto multiple targets simultaneously. Maybe that's causing the power fluctuations." Elena walked over to examine Grace's work. "Show me." Grace pulled up a holographic display of the weapon's targeting matrix. "See these readings? The quantum field wants to affect everything within its range, not just the intended target. It's like trying to erase just one word from a book while the eraser wants to wipe out the entire page. So we need to make the field more precise." "Exactly. But that requires processing power beyond anything we have." Elena stared at the display for several minutes. The mathematics were perfect, but the practical engineering was proving nearly impossible. They needed a breakthrough, and they needed it now. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Kevin Barnes burst into the laboratory carrying a datapad and grinning wildly. "Elena, you need to see this. Remember the captured Zephyrian ship that Admiral Cole brought back?" "Of course. I've been studying their computer systems. Look at this." Kevin activated his datapad, and alien text filled the screen. "Their technology isn't just advanced, it's predictable." Elena frowned. "What do you mean?" "They use the same energy frequencies for everything. Shields, weapons, communications, life support. Everything operates on harmonized quantum frequencies." Tony Chen crawled out from under the prototype. "Are you saying their entire technology is based on one type of energy pattern?" "Not just one type, one specific frequency. Look at these readings." Kevin showed them energy signatures from the captured ship. Every system produced quantum vibrations at exactly the same rate, just at different amplitudes. Elena felt her heart racing. "If everything they build uses the same frequency, then our weapon doesn't need to be precise," Grace finished. "We just need to tune it to disrupt that specific frequency." Elena grabbed Kevin's datapad and began running calculations. "This changes everything. Instead of trying to target individual ships, we could disrupt their entire technology base." "How? Long to modify the prototype?" asked Tony. 6 hours, maybe less." For the first time in months, Elena felt hope. While the scientists worked frantically in their underground laboratory, Admiral Marcus Cole led another raid against Zephyrian forces near Mars. His ship, the Defiance, had been modified to carry the prototype weapon, but Cole needed to test it under real combat conditions. "Contact bearing 270, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Megan Foster. "Single Zephyrian patrol ship." "Perfect. Take us in slowly." I want them to think we're running a standard attack. The Defiance approached the alien vessel, which was roughly twice its size. The Zephyrian ship immediately powered up its weapons and shields, following the same tactical pattern Cole had observed dozens of times. "They're hailing us," said his communications officer. "Put them through." The main screen filled with the face of a Zephyrian commander. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed." Cole smiled. "Actually, I think today's going to be different." He cut the communication and turned to his weapons officer. "Commander Santos, activate the QDM." Rick Santos's hands moved across his control panel. "Quantum disruption matrix online, targeting the alien ship." "Power levels look stable," reported Chief Engineer Blake from the engine room. "All systems green." Cole took a deep breath. "Fire." The Defiance's modified main gun released a beam of distorted space-time toward the Zephyrian ship. Instead of the bright energy discharge of human weapons or the blue plasma of alien guns, the QDM produced a barely visible ripple in space itself. The beam struck the alien ship's shields, and something impossible happened. The shields didn't deflect the beam or absorb it. They simply stopped existing. The energy barrier that had protected Zephyrian ships from every human weapon just vanished. The quantum ripple continued through the ship's hull, and wherever it touched, matter disappeared. Not destroyed, not vaporized, just gone. A section of the alien vessel simply ceased to exist in their universe. The Zephyrian ship tried to fire back, but its weapons had stopped working. Its engines went silent. Life support failed. Within seconds, the massive warship was nothing but a drifting shell filled with confused aliens. "Sir," Lieutenant Foster said in a shocked voice, "their ship has lost all power. Their technology just shut down completely." Cole activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. We just proved that humans can fight back, and we're going to win this war." Word of the successful test spread through the human resistance network within hours. Underground factories across Earth began producing quantum disruption matrix devices as quickly as possible. Every human ship was modified to carry the new weapons. Dr. Elena Vasquez found herself promoted from laboratory researcher to head of Earth's most important military project. She worked with Admiral Cole to train crews in operating the quantum weapons and understanding their effects. "The key is the targeting," she explained to a room full of ship captains. "The QDM doesn't just affect the ship you're aiming at. It disrupts Zephyrian technology in a sphere around the impact point. If you hit one ship in a formation, nearby vessels will lose power too." Captain Jake Morrison, who had survived the Kepler massacre and returned to active duty, raised his hand. "Doctor, what happens to the aliens when their ships lose power?" "They don't die immediately. Their life support fails, but they have emergency oxygen supplies for several hours. However, their weapons, shields, and engines stop working completely," Admiral Cole added, "which means we can capture their ships and interrogate the crews." This proved to be crucial intelligence gathering. Within days of the first successful QDM test, human forces had captured dozens of Zephyrian personnel. Dr. Amy Rodriguez led the interrogation teams, using her expertise in alien psychology to extract vital information. The most important prisoner was Commander Kesara, a mid-ranking Zephyrian officer captured during a raid near Saturn. Unlike the arrogant Admiral Vextar, Kesara seemed genuinely confused by humanity's resistance. "Your species should have surrendered," she told Amy during one interrogation session. "The Empire has conquered 47 worlds. No species has ever fought back successfully." "What happened to those other species?" Amy asked. "Some were enslaved. Others were relocated to reservation worlds. A few were completely eliminated when they proved too troublesome to manage." Amy felt sick, but continued asking questions. "Why does the Empire expand so aggressively?" "It is our nature. The strong rule the weak." The empire grows stronger by absorbing the resources and populations of inferior species. Have you ever encountered a species with technology equal to yours? Kesara seemed confused by the question. That is impossible. The empire has the most advanced technology in the galaxy. But humans just disabled your ship with a weapon your people have never seen before? For the first time, uncertainty appeared in the alien's yellow eyes. That was unexpected. Amy realized that the Zephyrian Empire's greatest weakness was their complete confidence in their own superiority. They had never adapted their tactics because they had never needed to. Kesara, what would happen if the Empire encountered a species that could actually threaten your ships? The alien was quiet for a long time. Such a thing has never occurred. The Empire's doctrine assumes that all other species are inferior. What if that assumption is wrong? Kesara had no answer. Meanwhile, Zephyrian forces continued gathering for their assault on Earth. Long-range sensors detected over 800 alien ships massing at staging areas throughout the solar system. The Empire was bringing everything they had to crush humanity once and for all. General Lisa Hayes coordinated Earth's defenses from her underground command center. Humanity now had 43 ships equipped with QDM weapons, but they still faced overwhelming odds. Intelligence reports suggest the Zephyrians will attack in 3 waves, she told her staff. The first wave will test our defenses. The second will try to destroy our orbital installations. The third will be a full-scale assault on Earth itself. Admiral Cole studied the tactical projections. If we can disable enough ships in the first wave, we might convince them to retreat. Or we might make them angry enough to bring even more. Ships, Amy warned. These are not a patient species. Dr. Vasquez joined the planning session with her final report on QDM capabilities. We've managed to increase the power output by 30%. Each shot can now disable ships up to 5 kilometers from the primary target. How many shots per... The Zephyrian assault fleet arrived at Earth exactly when intelligence had predicted. 800 alien ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with deadly intent. Admiral Marcus Cole watched them from the bridge of the Defiance and felt his heart pounding. "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting the enemy fleet," reported Lieutenant Megan Foster. 800 contacts confirmed. Cole activated his communication system to address the human fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Cole. Today we find out if humans are as tough as we think we are. Remember your training. Target the largest ships first. Make every shot count." 43 human vessels faced the largest military force ever assembled by the Zephyrian Empire. Each human ship had been modified to carry quantum disruption matrix weapons, but most of the crews had never used them in a real battle. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the destroyer Courage, one of the newest ships in the human fleet. His crew was nervous but determined. They all remembered the colonies that had been destroyed and the friends they had lost. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the enemy fleet," said his communications officer. "Put it through." The main screen filled with the face of Emperor Zixthul himself, the supreme ruler of the Zephyrian Empire. He was larger than the other aliens Jake had seen, with golden markings around his yellow eyes and ceremonial armor covered in strange symbols. "Humans of Earth!" The Emperor's voice boomed across every ship in both fleets. "You have defied the Empire for the last time. Your pathetic resistance ends today. Surrender now, and some of you may be allowed to live as slaves." Admiral Cole responded from the Defiance. "Emperor, we have a counteroffer. Leave our system immediately, and we won't have to embarrass you in front of your entire fleet." The Emperor's eyes widened with rage. "Embarrass us? You primitive creatures think you can threaten the mighty Zephyrian Empire?" "We've already proven. We can disable your ships. Ask Commander Kesara about what happened to her patrol vessel." Impossible lies. No inferior species possesses technology that can affect Imperial vessels. Cole smiled grimly. "Would you like a demonstration?" The Emperor cut the communication and immediately ordered his fleet to attack. The first wave of Zephyrian ships, over 200 strong, accelerated toward the human formation. "All ships, prepare to engage," Cole commanded. "Remember, wait for them to get close enough for maximum effect." The alien ships opened fire while still at long range, sending blue plasma beams across space toward the human fleet. Most of the shots missed, but several human ships took damage from the powerful weapons. "Sir, the Brisbane has lost its main engine," reported Cole's tactical officer. "Order them to fall back. All other ships, hold position." The Zephyrian formation closed. To optimal range for the QDM weapons, Cole could see dozens of alien ships on his screen, their shields glowing with deadly energy. "This is it," he announced to his crew. "Fire!" The human fleet discharged their quantum weapons simultaneously. Instead of the bright flashes of conventional weapons, ripples of distorted space-time reached across the void toward the Zephyrian ships. The effect was devastating. The first alien ship hit by a QDM beam simply had a section of its hull disappear. The quantum disruption spread to nearby vessels, shutting down their power systems and leaving them drifting helplessly. Within 30 seconds, over half of the first Zephyrian wave was disabled. Ships that had seemed invincible moments before were now floating dead in space, their crews trapped inside vessels with no power. "My God," whispered Jake Morrison as he watched enemy ships going dark all around him. "It actually works." The remaining aliens in the first wave tried to retreat, but their formation had been shattered. Human ships pursued them, firing their remaining QDM charges and disabling even more vessels. Emperor Zixthul watched the destruction of his first wave from his massive flagship and felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. His ships were the most advanced in the galaxy. His tactics had conquered dozens of worlds. How could primitive humans be defeating his forces? "Bring the second wave forward," he ordered his fleet commander. "Destroy them all." The second Zephyrian wave consisted of 300 ships, including heavy cruisers and battleships. These were the Empire's most powerful vessels, each one capable of destroying an entire human colony. Admiral Cole realized his fleet was in serious trouble. Most of his ships had used their QDM charges in the first engagement and needed time to recharge. Conventional human weapons would be useless against fresh alien shields. "All ships with remaining QDM charges, form up on the Defiance," he ordered. "Everyone else fall back and prepare for recharging procedures." Only 12 human ships still had functional quantum weapons. They would face 300 of the Empire's best warships alone. The second wave attacked with careful coordination, having learned from the first wave's mistakes. Instead of bunching together where QDM weapons could affect multiple ships, they spread out across a wide front. "Smart," Cole admitted grudgingly. "They're adapting faster than we hoped." The battle became a desperate running fight. Human ships with QDM weapons would fire at the largest alien vessels, disable them, then retreat while their weapons recharged. Ships without quantum weapons used conventional weapons to distract the aliens and draw fire away from the QDM-equipped vessels. Captain Morrison found himself commanding one of the few ships still capable of fighting. The Courage dodged plasma beams while closing range on a massive Zephyrian battleship. "Target their main hull," he ordered his weapons officer. "If we can take out something that big, it might make the others think twice." The QDM beam struck the alien battleship near its engine section. The quantum disruption spread through the ship's systems, shutting down everything from weapons to life support. The massive vessel, larger than any human ship ever built, went completely dark. But the human victory came at a cost. Plasma fire from other alien ships struck the Courage, damaging its hull and killing 3 crew members. "Captain, we're losing atmosphere on Deck 2, reported his engineer. "Seal the compartment. How long until the QDM recharges?" 8 minutes. 8 minutes felt like 8 hours as Morrison maneuvered his damaged ship through a storm of enemy fire. Around him, other human vessels fought desperately against overwhelming odds. The battle turned when Dr. Elena Vasquez implemented an emergency modification to the QDM systems. Working from her laboratory beneath Earth, she found a way to temporarily boost the weapon's power output. "All ships, this is Dr. Vasquez." Her voice came over the fleet communication system. "I'm transmitting new power settings for your quantum weapons. Warning, this modification will probably burn out your QDM systems after one shot, but the effect will be much larger." Admiral Cole didn't hesitate. "All ships, implement the new settings immediately." The boosted QDM weapons proved devastatingly effective. When Captain Morrison fired his enhanced quantum beam at a group of alien cruisers, all 6 ships lost power simultaneously. The disruption effect had tripled in range. Within an hour, the second Zephyrian wave was retreating in disorder. Over 200 of their most advanced ships had been disabled by weapons they couldn't understand or defend against. Emperor Zixthul stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 2/3 of his assault fleet was either destroyed or drifting, powerless. How had inferior creatures accomplished this? "Sire," his fleet commander said carefully, "perhaps we should reconsider our approach. These humans possess weapons we did not anticipate." "Impossible," the Emperor snarled. "They are primitive. They cannot have developed technology superior to ours." "But the evidence—" "The evidence is wrong!" Zixthul's rage filled the bridge. "Bring forward the 3rd wave. Bring forward everything. I want Earth reduced to rubble and every human destroyed." The 3rd wave was everything the Zephyrian Empire had left. 300 ships, including the Emperor's personal flagship and the most powerful vessels in their navy. They would either crush humanity completely or die trying. Admiral Cole knew. His fleet couldn't survive another engagement. Most of his QDM weapons were burned out, and several ships had been destroyed in the previous battles. But as he watched the final Zephyrian wave approach, he realized something important. "All ships, this is Admiral Cole. Look at your sensors. The aliens are bunching up again. They're so angry they've forgotten the lessons from the first 2 waves." It was true. The Zephyrian ships were flying in tight formation, presenting perfect targets for the few remaining QDM weapons. "We have 6 functional quantum weapons left," Cole announced. "Let's make them count." The final battle lasted only 20 minutes. The 6 remaining QDM shots, carefully aimed at the center of the alien formation, created a cascade effect that disabled over 100 ships simultaneously. The quantum disruption spread through the tightly packed fleet like a virus, shutting down vessel after vessel. Emperor Zixthul's flagship was caught in the disruption field. For the first time in his life, the supreme ruler of the Zephyrian Empire found himself trapped aboard a powerless ship, surrounded by the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. "Sir," Lieutenant Foster reported to Admiral Cole, "the alien Emperor is requesting a communication." Cole smiled. "Put him through." The Emperor's face appeared on screen, but his arrogance was gone. "Human Admiral, I request terms of surrender." Cole leaned back in his captain's chair. Emperor Zixthul sat in the holding cell aboard the human ship Defiance and stared at the metal walls. 3 weeks had passed since his mighty fleet had been destroyed by primitive humans using impossible weapons. His empire, built over centuries of conquest, was falling apart. Admiral Marcus Cole entered the cell and sat across from the defeated ruler. "Your Majesty, we need to discuss the future." The Emperor's yellow eyes showed confusion. "You have won. Why do you not simply execute me and claim my territory?" "Because that's not how humans operate," Cole replied. "We want to end this war, not expand it." Dr. Amy Rodriguez joined them, carrying a datapad filled with intelligence reports. "Emperor, we've been receiving communications from across your former territory. 47 worlds that you conquered are declaring independence." Zixthul's shoulders slumped. "Impossible. Those species lack the courage to rebel." They found courage when they learned that someone had finally defeated the Zephyrian Empire, Cole said. Your own people are surrendering faster than we can process them. It was true. Across hundreds of star systems, news of humanity's victory had spread like wildfire. Species that had been enslaved for generations were rising up against their Zephyrian overlords. The Empire's military was in full retreat, abandoning outposts and colonies throughout the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison commanded one of the human fleets pursuing the retreating aliens. His ship, the newly constructed Liberator, carried the most advanced QDM weapons ever built. Dr. Elena Vasquez had managed to create quantum weapons that could disable entire fleets with a single shot. Captain, we're receiving a surrender signal from the Zephyrian garrison at Beta Centauri, reported his communications officer. That makes 12 surrenders today, Morrison noted. Put me through to the garrison commander. The alien on his screen looked defeated and frightened. Human commander, we wish to surrender. We have heard what happened to Emperor Zixthul's fleet. We do not wish to be erased from existence. Morrison almost smiled. The aliens still didn't understand how QDM weapons worked. They thought the disappeared matter was destroyed rather than shifted to another dimension. The fear of complete annihilation was making Zephyrian forces surrender without fighting. Commander, you and your forces will be transported to designated prisoner worlds where you'll be treated according to galactic law, Morrison explained. Any species you've been oppressing will be given their freedom. Understood. We surrender. Unconditionally. The pattern repeated throughout former Zephyrian space. Human fleets would arrive at conquered worlds, demand surrender, and receive immediate compliance. The Empire's reputation for invincibility was shattered. But humanity's greatest challenge wasn't military. It was diplomatic. General Lisa Hayes found herself promoted to Secretary of Galactic Affairs, a position that hadn't existed 6 months earlier. Her office on Earth received hundreds of communications daily from newly liberated species asking for help, protection, or alliance. We have a problem, Dr. Rodriguez told her during one of their daily briefings. 47 different species want humanity to be their protector. They're offering us everything from trade agreements to complete political submission. And our response? We're not equipped to govern a galactic empire. We barely understand most of these species, let alone their needs and cultures. Hayes studied the star maps covering her office walls. Red dots showed former Zephyrian worlds. Blue dots showed human territories. Green dots represented newly independent species. There were a lot more green dots than blue ones. What does humanity want out of this? She asked. Security, Rodriguez replied immediately. We want to make sure no other species can threaten Earth the way the Zephyrians did. And the best way to ensure that? Make sure aggressive empires can't form in the first place. The solution came from an unexpected source. Commander Kesara, the captured Zephyrian officer, requested a private meeting with General Hayes. General, I have studied your species for many months, the alien said. You are unlike any conquerors I have ever known. How so? You defeated the Empire, but you do not seek to replace it. You liberate worlds, but do not claim them. This is unprecedented. Hayes leaned forward. What are you suggesting? Many species in this galaxy are too weak to defend themselves but too proud to accept permanent protection. They need something new, a confederation, rather than an empire. Explain. Kesara activated a holographic display showing the galaxy's political structure. The Empire ruled through fear and superior technology, but humans could lead through cooperation and mutual defense. Each species keeps its independence, but contributes to collective security. The idea was revolutionary. Instead of creating a human empire to replace the Zephyrian one, they could establish a galactic confederation where each species maintained sovereignty while contributing to common defense. Dr. Elena Vasquez solved the technological challenges. Her team developed a new generation of QDM devices that could create defensive barriers around entire star systems. Any aggressive fleet trying to attack a Confederation world would find their ships disabled before they could fire a shot. We're calling them quantum defense networks, she explained to the Galactic Assembly on Earth. Each member world gets protection in exchange for contributing resources and personnel to the Confederation. The Assembly included representatives from 37 different species, all eager to join humanity's new organization. The meeting was held in the newly constructed Unity Station, orbiting Earth as a symbol of interspecies cooperation. Admiral Cole, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, addressed the Assembly about military structure. The Confederation Defense Force will be commanded jointly by representatives from all member species. No single world will have the power to threaten others. What about enforcement? Asked the representative from the Altair Republic. How do we prevent member worlds from developing aggressive tendencies? Cole smiled. Any world that threatens its neighbors will find itself facing the combined fleets of all other members, and they all have QDM weapons now. The Galactic Confederation was formally established 6 months after the Battle of Earth. 37 species signed the founding charter, with more joining every week. The Zephyrian Empire was officially dissolved, its former territories either independent or absorbed into the new Confederation. Emperor Zixthul was given a choice: exile to a remote world with a small group of loyal followers, or integration into the Confederation as an ordinary citizen. To everyone's surprise, he chose integration. The empire was built on the belief that strength comes from dominating others, he told Admiral Cole during their final meeting. Humans have proven that true strength comes from cooperation. Perhaps it is time for my people to learn a new way. 5 years after the Kepler massacre, Fleet Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the Confederation's newest vessel, the Harmony. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see New Terra, humanity's first post-war colony. The world was a marvel of interspecies cooperation. Human engineers worked alongside Altarian architects to build cities that accommodated dozens of different species. Former Zephyrian soldiers served as peacekeepers, protecting the same types of beings they had once oppressed. Admiral Morrison, said Commander Grace Williams, his new aide, "We're receiving the final report from the Kepler Memorial Project." Morrison took the data pad and read the summary. The memorial station, built at the site where the Meridian had been destroyed, was now complete. It would serve as both a monument to those who died and a training facility for Confederation diplomats. The dedication ceremony is scheduled for next week, Grace continued. Representatives from all 64 member worlds will attend. Morrison nodded. 64 worlds in 5 years. The Confederation had grown beyond anyone's expectations, becoming the largest peaceful alliance in galactic history. Dr. Rodriguez, now the Confederation's chief diplomatic officer, had requested that Morrison give the dedication speech. He had been thinking about what to say for weeks. The ceremony took place exactly 6 years after the Kepler massacre. Thousands of beings from dozens of species gathered at the memorial station to honor both the human dead and the birth of a new galactic order. Morrison stood at the podium and looked out at the crowd. In the front row sat former Emperor Zixthul, now serving as an advisor on Confederation expansion. Behind him were families from every member world, including children who had never known war. 6 years ago, an alien empire fired the first shot. In what they expected to be a very short war, Morrison began, they thought humanity would surrender immediately or be quickly destroyed. They were wrong on both counts. Gentle laughter rippled through the crowd. The Zephyrians believed that strength came from making others fear you. They conquered dozens of worlds using that philosophy. But they never understood that true strength comes from making others trust you. Morrison paused, looking at the memorial wall that listed the names of every human who had died in the war. The people whose names are on this wall died fighting for an idea that seemed impossible at the time, that different species could work together as equals. Today, 64 worlds prove that their sacrifice was not in vain. He gestured toward the... Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony and watched the stars ahead. After 6 months of traveling through space, they were finally close to their goal. The ship was not built for war. It had no big guns or heavy armor. Instead, it carried scientists, diplomats, and gifts from Earth. This was humanity's first real chance to make friends with aliens. "Captain, we are getting a signal," said Amy Foster from her station. She was the ship's language expert. For 2 years, she had studied the alien messages that came from the Centauri system. "They are welcoming us to their space." Morrison nodded. He was a calm man in his 40s who had commanded cargo ships before this mission. The United Nations picked him because he was good at solving problems without fighting. "Put it on the main screen, Amy." The screen showed a strange face. The alien had blue skin that looked like crystal. Its eyes were large and silver. When it spoke, the words came out smooth and musical. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Overseer, Thexka of the Zeridian people. We welcome you to Hegemony Space. Please follow our guide ships to the Confluent Station." Dr. Lisa Grant stepped closer to look at the alien. She was the ship's expert on alien life. "Amazing," she said quietly. "Look at the way the light moves under its skin. I think those crystal parts help it think faster." Commander Ryan Burke stood behind the captain's chair. He was the ship's military advisor, but he hoped they would not need his skills. "Captain, I count 12 ships moving toward us. They are much bigger than ours." Morrison could see the alien ships on his screen. Each one was the size of a city block. They moved without making any sound through space. Strange lights ran along their sides in patterns that looked almost like writing. "They are beautiful," said Amy Foster. "I have never seen ships like these." The guide ships led the UES Harmony toward a huge station floating in space. The Confluence was bigger than any city on Earth. It had tall towers that twisted up like glass trees. Lights flowed between the towers like rivers of fire. Small ships moved around it like bees around a flower. Chief Engineer Pete Williams came onto the bridge. He was a big man with rough hands who could fix anything. "Captain, their technology is way ahead of ours. I am reading energy patterns I do not understand. These people have been building in space for a very long time." Morrison felt both excited and worried. Earth had sent them here because long-range messages with the hegemony had gone well. The aliens seemed interested in human art and culture. But seeing their massive station made him remember how small and new humanity was compared to these people. "Docking Bay 7 is opening for us," reported Amy. "They are sending docking instructions now." The UES Harmony slowly moved into the station. The docking bay was huge and could have held 10 ships their size. As soon as they connected, Morrison felt the artificial gravity change. It was stronger than Earth's gravity, but not too much to handle. "Full dress uniforms," Morrison ordered. "Dr. Grant, bring your cultural gifts. Commander Burke, you come with us, but keep your weapon hidden. We are here for peace." The airlock opened with a soft sound. The air that came in smelled like flowers and metal. A group of aliens waited for them in the docking bay. Most were Zeridians like Thex Ka, but Morrison could see other types too. One alien looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and golden eyes. Another seemed to be made of flowing water held in a clear suit. The strangest one looked like a ball of bright energy that floated above the ground. Overseer Thex Ka stepped forward. He was taller than any human and moved with smooth steps. When he spoke, his voice filled the air around them. "Welcome to the Confluence, humans. I am honored to meet you in person. Your species has traveled far to reach us." Morrison stepped forward and held out his hand. "Thank you for welcoming us, Overseer. I am Captain Jake Morrison. We bring greetings from all the people of Earth." Thex-Ka looked at the offered hand for a moment, then reached out with his own. His skin felt cold and hard like glass, but his grip was gentle. "Your customs are interesting. We will learn much from each other." Dr. Grant moved forward with a box of gifts. "We brought examples of human art and music. We hope you will find them interesting." The insect alien came closer with quick, clicking steps. "I am Zik-99 of the Cathara. We build and fix things for the hegemony. Your ship is very different from ours. May we study it?" "Of course," said Morrison. "We are here to share knowledge." Thex-Ka led them through the station. The hallways were wide and tall with walls that seemed to glow from inside. Other aliens moved past them, but Morrison noticed something strange. The Zeridians walked in the center of the halls while the other types of aliens stayed near the walls. The insect people and water beings seemed to step aside whenever a Zeridian came near. "The confluence is home to all 4 species of the hegemony," explained Thex-Ka. "The Zeridians, Kithara, Murathi, and Vorthak have worked together for over 1,000 years. We have brought peace and order to this part of space." They entered a huge room with a round table in the center. The walls showed pictures of space with stars and planets moving slowly across them. The table was made of some kind of crystal that changed colors as they watched. "This is where we will talk about your future," said Thex-Ka. "Please, sit. We have prepared food that your bodies can eat safely." The food was strange, but good. Some of it tasted like fruit, while other parts were like meat, but softer. Amy Foster tried everything while asking questions about how it was made. Dr. Grant took small samples to study later. "Your ship interests us greatly," said Thex-Ka as they ate. "It is much smaller than ours, but travels between stars. How do you make such journeys with so little space?" Commander Burke answered carefully. "We use nuclear fusion for power and put our crew in sleep during long trips. It takes many months to travel between systems." The energy being, which called itself Vorthak Prime, floated closer. Its voice sounded like wind through metal. "Your species fights many wars on your home planet. Why do you fight so much?" Morrison felt Burke become tense beside him. "Humans have conflicts sometimes, but we are learning to solve problems with words instead of weapons. That is why we are here." "Yes," said Thex-Ka. "We have studied your history through your radio signals, so much fighting over such a small world, but also much art and music and stories. Your species is very emotional." The way he said emotional made Morrison think it was not meant as praise, but he smiled and nodded. "We feel things strongly. It helps us create and explore and protect the things we love." Over the next few days, the talks continued. The aliens asked many questions about Earth and human society. They seemed most interested in human technology and military history. Dr. Grant shared recordings of music and showed them paintings and sculptures from Earth's museums. But Morrison began to notice things that worried him. The non-Zeridian aliens always waited for permission before speaking. When Zik-99 tried to ask Dr. Grant about human engineering, Thex-Ka stopped the conversation with just a look. The insect alien lowered its head and said nothing more. Amy Foster reported that she was hearing strange things in the alien communications, words that did not match what they were saying out loud, references to integration procedures and species management protocols. On the 5th day, Thex-Ka invited Morrison to see more of the station. They walked through areas where different aliens worked. Morrison saw Cathara building machines while Zeridians watched them. Murathi cleaned and maintained equipment while energy beings powered complex systems. "Each species contributes their greatest skills," explained Thex-Ka. "The Cathara build, the Murathi maintain, the Vorthak provide energy, and we Zeridians guide and lead. It is a perfect system." "What did these species do before joining the hegemony?" asked Morrison. Thex-Ka was quiet for a moment. they were less organized. We helped them find their proper place in the galaxy. Now they are much happier and more productive. Morrison looked at a group of Kithara working on a large machine. They moved quickly and efficiently, but something about them seemed wrong. They never looked up from their work. They never talked to each other unless it was about the job. They seem very focused, Morrison said. Yes, focus is important for a peaceful society, replied Thexka. Perhaps humans could learn such focus, too. That evening, Morrison called a meeting with his senior crew in their ship's conference room. The room felt small and cramped after the huge spaces of the alien station, but it was private. I do not like what I am seeing, said Commander Burke. Those other aliens are not partners. They are slaves. Dr. Grant nodded sadly. I tried to talk to one of the Murathi workers today. It just stared at me and said it was not allowed to speak to unknown aliens without permission. Amy Foster pulled out her tablet. I have been analyzing their communications. There are definitely two levels of language here. What they say to us and what they say to each other. The hidden conversations are about us. They call us the new prospect species. Pete. Williams leaned forward. Their technology is advanced, but it is built for control. Every system I have seen has multiple backup monitors. They watch everything their people do. Morrison felt cold despite the ship's warm air. What are you thinking, Amy? What does prospect species mean? Amy looked at her notes. I think it means they want to add us to their